it's your girl Shalae, and I'm back today with another video. In today's video, we'll discuss everything Social Security, including overpayments. So I'm going to talk about what to do if you received an overpayment letter, what's your options, free and paid options, and how to prevent this from happening again in the future. So we all know that each year, millions of people get something else in the mail, y'all, and that's a bill from Social Security. Now, a lot of people are told that they owe the government money. Sometimes it's tens and thousands or even $100,000, right? Because the Social Security Administration, they have maybe miscalculated your benefits and paid you when you should not have received that much money, or even maybe that you exceeded the income limits. Y'all, this can just happen to anyone, okay? So if you're in this position right now, you already know what to do. Stay tuned. Your girl's got you covered. Now, if this is your first time tuning into my channel, hi, hello, hey, friend. My name is Shalae, and here on this channel, we discuss shopping, saving, and everything in between. I would love to have you a part of my internet family. Super easy. Click the big old red subscribe button down below, and you're in just like that. And while you're at it, go ahead and give me a like, especially if you love me creating this type of content. Now, if you are not an Amazon Prime user, you can sign up for Amazon Prime for free. All you have to do is click the link above in the card, so I'll even put it down in the description box as well. Now, guys, I had an overwhelming response to my last video where I want to say I did like 10 different changes in Social Security for 2024 because a lot is going on, and we talked about overpayments. And a lot of people were saying create a separate video just for overpayments. Now, if you've been watching the news, then you've seen the headlines of a growing overpayment problem that's happening right now with Social Security. And according to like a new financial report that they released, they had an uncollected balance of about $23 billion, yes, billion dollars in overpayments. Now, records show that majority of the overpayments are from exceeded assets or even income limits. So a lot of people like, why is this happening? Why am I getting this? Y'all, the system is broken. Okay, and it's broken far beyond what these politicians are promising us or even revealing. Like, many of these mistakes are due to income reporting errors because, one, we all know that the rules are complex and they're just hard to follow. Like, I was reading a book on Social Security. It was 20,000 pages long. There's also the limits on what beneficiaries can save or own, and it has not been adjusted due to inflation in decades. There's also the Social Security Administration. They do not have adequate staffing to keep up with the workload, much of which is done by hand. And then, of course, the system has built-in lags where they check information sometimes on a quarterly basis, such as a beneficiary's income, and it relies heavily on the data that is submitted by you. So, like I said, the system is broken, but there's parts that you can do as well. So even if Social Security has a mistake and they own the mistake, they're still going to demand that money back from you within 30 days. So the agency, they can like reclaim their money by reducing your benefits. They can stop your benefits altogether. They can even garnish like your wages or even intercept some of the federal tax refunds, which I have a video separately on tax refunds. Okay, so if you have received an overpayment letter, the first thing that you need to do, guys, come a little bit closer. The first thing that you need to do is find out the reason for your overpayment. And I mean, I need you to gather as much information as possible. We all know that most of the time, nobody answers the Social Security phone, okay? If you try to call that 1-800 number or that office phone, they're not going to help you. If you have any type of transportation, you need to go down to the local office as well. I need you to go back through your records and pull out any correspondence. What was the reason for your overpayment? Like, was it because you didn't report your income sources? Were you overpaid for living arrangements if it was SSI? The Social Security Administration will not waive an overpayment or even give you a waiver unless it's their mistake. And I get it, like, you may have received the overpayment letter from 15 years ago, right? And you don't have no record whatsoever, no interaction, nothing to prove that you were told the wrong amount, right? And even if you say that you can prove it, you're going to have to show them that you are like poor. I mean, absolutely like penniless, destitute. So bottom line, if you have a disagreement with the facts of the overpayment that they send you, really elaborate on what was incorrect about the overpayment. Why did SSI get it wrong? Because, I mean, guys, we may not like the rules, but that is not appealable. So before you start going down this process, you need to figure out how much fault can be attributed to you. And I'm saying this with love, right? I'm saying this with love because they said 98% of the time waivers are denied. And once they deny your waiver, that payment or that they need for the overpayment is going to start. So even if you file an appeal, they're going to issue that overpayment once they deny it already. And so you're going to have to go through that process. So I need for you to get like certified letters, bank statements, evidence of utility bills, university expenses for siblings, anything that you can do that will prove that, hey, you know what, like you just don't have this. And I'm saying a lot for SSI because in the SSI program, if a family member is giving someone else that's on SSI meals or a place to stay, they can count that as in-kind support, which that can go against like your limits on assets as well, forfeiting you from benefits. So we all know that it hasn't been an adjustment in the assets limit since 1989. And so the most that you can have right now for individuals is $2,000 in your bank accounts and then $3,000 for couples. So once again, gather all the information that you need. And then once you do that, you have three options with the overpayment. One, you can ask them to reconsider. You were like, look, I was not overpaid. I don't agree that you guys said I was overpaid. The amount that you're saying, it is incorrect. If that is true, then you can use or file on a form called an SSA 561, which is request for reconsideration. You should explain why you think that you have not been overpaid or the amount is correct. That's your first option. The second option you have, you can ask them to waive and not collect the overpayment. So if you agree that, you know what, I did a little shicey stuff, I worked a job and I was overpaid, but I don't want to pay the money back. I shouldn't have to pay the overpayment back because I can't afford it. I don't have the money. I'm sorry, I can't afford it. Then you need to file an SSA 632, which is a request for waiver of overpayment recovery. Now, last option you have is that you're like, look, I did it. I'm guilty. I want to go ahead and pay the overpayment, but I need a payment plan. I cannot afford to pay back at the rate that you are telling me in the letter. Can I, do 10%, a little yada, yada, yada? Then you should file form SSA 634, which is a request for the change in the overpayment recovery rate, okay? So those are your three options. If you have a letter that you receive, you can either say, you know what, your information that you have is one, it's incorrect. Nope, I'm gonna go ahead and fill out this form. Or you can say, you know what, the information that you have is correct, but I don't have the money to pay you. That's your second option. Or your third option is, you know what, I'm just going to pay you. I'm guilty. You caught me, but can I pay you at a reduced rate? Let's move on. All right, guys, so in the event that you decide to go the request for waiver route and you submit all your forms to the Social Security Administration and they deny your request for waiver, then you can appeal that decision, but you have 60 days to go ahead and appeal that previous determination or decision. Now, let me go ahead and tell you, when you start that appeal process, that's a whole different can of worms, okay? One, it's super lengthy. And remember, the address and information that you put on that form, people are saying it takes 3 to 5 years before you can meet with a judge regarding your information. So one, you're still going to have to make those payments. But if you move or anything changes with your contact address, your telephone throughout this hearing process, how are they going to get in contact with you? You're still going to lose. So you can apply for all this online, but I will also say if you're going to go the appeal route, to reach out to organizations that offer free legal services because it can get expensive. So for example, the Legal Aid Society in Florida, they are a volunteer organization that help local residents who cannot afford an attorney. But there's a lot of organizations around the world that offers this as well. Now, I'm going to go ahead and keep it real. Some attorneys won't accept your case because they can't make any money from it, right? Or they're going to charge you so much money that if you win the case, it won't feel like a win because you're going to have to pay them with all their fees. So like, you know, with like civil attorneys or personal injuries, they'll go ahead and take the case because they know that, hey, if you receive a settlement of $30,000 or $20,000, they stand to make $10,000. They don't get anything from your Social Security. So I would beware on hiring any type of attorney, but try to seek out those free attorneys as well to help you process this information. Let's go ahead and move on. So we know tip 1 was super long, right? But pretty much gather all the information that you're going to need. And this will help as well because if you decide to go to a free legal aid, they're going to need all your paperwork as well. So this is helping you not only set the precedence for this step, but as we move on to the next step as well. All right, so tip number 2 is to go ahead and reach out to your state representatives. Now, a lot of us may not know who these people are, but if you are unaware, then you can enter your zip code at house.gov and inform them of your situation. So, 1, not only does it help your case before we move on, but they have a lot more influence, they have updates, and they have a lot more access than what you have. So also to let you know like exactly what they're doing. So for example, Representatives Gallego of Arizona as well as Graves of Louisiana, they just introduced a bill that will limit Social Security Administration overpayment period back to 10 years. So they were like, look, you shouldn't be going back to the 80s or 90s and charging people all this money. Let's go ahead and stop it at 10 years. Then we have like Senator Sherrod Brown and other Congress members. They are considering several like legislative changes that will make it easier for people to avoid overpayments. For example, they're looking at raising the cap on how much money that they are allowed to save. So that $2,000 that we were talking about, that hasn't been changed since 1989. So they're now trying to increase the limit. As well as there's a bipartisan group of lawmakers that introduced another bill as well to raise the limits on SSDI and SSI programs as well, because they're like, look, this is meant to encourage people to work. But if beneficiaries attempt to work and then they're more than likely confronted with an overpayment and it's going to be large, like who's going to go to work? Who's going to do that? That's not what this was set out to do. So they are looking at different things as well. But if you reach out to your state representative and let them know like, hey, you know, I am elderly, I'm barely able to afford my house, you know, and give them the spiel on what's going on with your Social Security, then they can try to help. Because as of right now, there is no limit on or no limit or time frame that the Social Security Administration can go back and fix things. Like they can go back to the 60s, to the 50s. There's no limit. But if your reps don't know that people in their state are having these issues, then how are they gonna help you, right? How? So that's why it's best that you have your proper documentation. And when I mean documentation, guys, like documentation is the name of this game. Reach out to them, sign any new bills and petition, because any step towards progress, y'all, that's a win, right? That's a win. The next tip I'm going to tell you guys is to contact the media. Now, this is how you win the war, okay? This is how you win the war. You need to contact like your local news agency, newspaper. In November, there was a 60-minute press that featured 150 families that had Social Security overpayments, and all, little do you know, their debts was erased just like that, guys, because a lot of people, like the Social Security Administration, they don't want this to be like bad press for them. No one wants bad publicity. But I'm going to tell you now, CNN or like these local news stations, they're not going to take your case or even put it out there if you don't have documentation, if you're lying, if you don't have anything, because I mean, their job is on the line, right? So you have to make sure that you have that step one, your documentation, but let these people know that you're having this problem, because a lot of times it does get waived. And then the last tip I'm going to tell you guys is learn the rules of the game and play them better than anyone else. That's like my favorite quote, guys. But dealing with the Social Security Administration, it's a game. And it can be very irritating, especially like websites and letters from the Social Security Administration. They don't give you like clear explanations. It's hard to get through to a human being. Then when you finally get to someone, you get agency employees that give you inconsistent information. Y'all, it's a mess, right? But you kind of need to know what is going on, watching videos like this, sharing videos like this, reading articles. I know I was reading an article where one guy signed up with a new bank because they offered a $300 bonus. Well, that extra income that he got from that bonus put him over the $2,000 limit for the year. And so all that money that he collected for the year, he had to end up paying back. And then we also seen what happened with the stimulus payments as well. So we have to understand and learn our income limits, know that all money is not good money. I mean, what good is getting that $300 if you're going to have to pay it back a few years from now? At least once a month, you guys need to be logging into your Social Security account. Also, the Social Security Administration offers webinars to stay updated with the changes, as well as, like, you know, I tune in a lot of times, one, to have content for you guys, but these are free webinars where you can learn information, because not knowing is not a relevant excuse to get your debt waived, okay? So I need for you guys to learn those things. I remember once I had got a ticket for speeding, right? And this isn't Social Security. But when I got the ticket from speeding, it was like an area of the town where it may have been 40 miles per hour that you can drive the speed limit, but just this little patch in the area, it got reduced to 25 miles an hour. Of course, I was still doing 40. I got pulled over and he gave me the ticket. And I was like, well, you know what? I'm going to go to court and I'm going to tell them that, you know, I didn't know. And I remember the judge telling me at court, and she said, ignorance of the law is not an excuse. So just because I didn't know that that was the law, I was not able to get that waived. And I'm saying that when it comes to different things with Social Security, okay? These overpayments letters, maybe you didn't know that you working that extra hour a week was going to cause you or put you in a debt. Or maybe you didn't know that, hey, not submitting this income. Ignorance of the law is not an excuse. So we have to now start to educate ourselves on what it is. And I'm saying this with love. I'm not trying to make anyone mad. That's not what I'm trying to do here, because there's things that I don't know as well. All right, so let's go ahead and shift gears, and we're going to move over to West Virginia, where this is our last story. So in West Virginia, lawmakers are reacting to Social Security and child care tax proposals. So the governor Justice is proposing the total elimination of Social Security on all. Now, Justice said during his State of the Address speech, he said, I'm proposing a child independent care tax credit. And he said, where folks that are struggling with daycare, they can at least write them off on your taxes as well against your revenue, which is a great thing to have. He said, we need this very badly in West Virginia, and we need it right now. Now, he also said that the first group to benefit from his policies that he's trying to do is retirees and those that are receiving Social Security. So he said, if this is passed, then the proposal, it would go ahead and eliminate income tax on Social Security benefits, which I think is great. There's still a few states that still tax for Social Security benefits, but he said, look, taxing Social Security undermines the purpose of Social Security. This was a program that was designed to lift seniors out of poverty. It was not a program that was designed to fund state government. So he said, look, we believe that this is a step in the right direction, and this is what I want to do. So, hey, let me know what you think about that, West Virginia. I hope that you found my tips very helpful. One is to go ahead and find the reason why the overpayment exists, gather all documentations, and find out which route that you want to use to proceed. Do you want to ask them to go ahead and submit a waiver? Do you want to go ahead and make the payment? Or do you want to say, look, this letter that you sent me, I should have never received it in the first place? That's the first thing. Tip number 2 is to go ahead and reach out to your state representatives. Let them know that, hey, you are elderly. You don't have $50,000 lying around to go ahead and reimburse the government, especially now that you're retired. This is causing you much stress and turmoil on your families. Reach out to those representatives. Tip number 3, reach out to that media. Most of the people that get their articles in the media, whether it's a news article on the actual news or CNN, a lot of those people are getting their debt erased because now it is bringing a new set of eyes to your situation. But you can't contact the news if you don't know the reason why you got the payment and you don't have the documentation. As well as, reach out in the legal aid and see what they can do and help you as well. Don't go to a civilian attorney at all because they're going to charge you so much money, and now you're trying to get the money back as well, right? And then last but not least, guys, learn the rules of this Social Security game. Follow me here on YouTube. Not only follow me, but hey, once a week, just go to the Social Security Administration website. Just see if there's any new news. How does it apply to you? And see if there's any groups that maybe you can join as well. And that'll be able to help you so that way you know what is going on and what changes are being made. You can't sit back and not do nothing. And this is all I have. Let me know down in the comments, did you learn anything? Do I need to continue more videos like this? And as always, please like, comment, subscribe, grab you some Amazon Prime. It is absolutely free. And I will talk to you later, Gator. Bye, guys.